So, are you ever caught in that relentless current of digital anxiety? Finding your self-worth kind of weirdly tied to the likes and comments you get, or maybe just constantly comparing your own real life to those like perfect highlight reels online.
Yeah. Well, if that sounds familiar, this deep dive is definitely for you. We're really going to get into how you can reclaim your inner peace, your personal power in a world that, well, it often feels like it's trying to take it away. I mean, we've all been there, right? That subtle thing that happens after you post something you're genuinely excited about, maybe a creative project or a milestone or even just a fun vacation picture. And then the anxious wait starts. You find yourself kind of instinctively refreshing your feed, your thumb just hovering, your heart maybe speeds up a little with each notification ping, just waiting for those likes, those comments to, validate it somehow. Or maybe it's the flip side. You're just scrolling, endlessly scrolling through Instagram, and you see someone's like perfect vacation or friend's big career win or even a stranger's impossibly tidy house. And then, bam.
It hits you, that familiar little pang of envy, right? Or
Right.
inadequacy. That little voice whispering, wow, everyone else has it all figured out and I'm just tho over here. So common. And the crucial thing is it's not entirely your fault. These feelings, this constant digital back and forth, they often stem directly from how these platforms are built. They're literally engineered to grab our attention and keep us hooked, deeply hooked.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how this isn't just some new problem. When you really look at it, it's actually this ancient clash of mindsets, just amplified like crazy by our digital lives. You got, on one hand, this incredibly deep wisdom from ancient philosophers like Epictetus. His teachings push us towards this really radical kind of detachment, internal freedom. And then on the other side, you have this absolute giant Instagram, which, I mean, let's be honest, its whole business model basically thrives on our attachment, on us craving more external validation, more likes, more followers, those fleeting little metrics. It really is this stark contrast, one voice from way back then telling us to let go, profoundly let go, and this powerful modern engine constantly pulling us deeper into chasing the very things Epictetus warned us about.
That's such a key point. It's not just about hitting delete on the app, it's way deeper. It's a mindset shift. So, in this deep dive, that's our mission, really. To unpack how stoic detachment can actually be a genuine superpower in the age of Instagram. We're mixing that timeless philosophical wisdom with the latest modern psychological insights. The goal is to give you, the listener, the tools to navigate your digital life and honestly your whole life beyond the screen too, right? With more calm, more purpose, a stronger sense of self. And a really big part of this is nailing down the difference between true stoic detachment and just, disconnecting or being apathetic. Understanding that difference is absolutely crucial for your well-being.
Okay, so to really get the power we're talking about, let's first pin down what the Stoics actually meant by detachment. Because honestly, it gets misunderstood all the time today. People hear detachment and they immediately think indifference or apathy, like not caring about anything, cold. But for the Stoics, especially someone like Epictetus, it was the exact opposite. It was a very deliberate, very active choice. A choice to not cling emotionally to things that are ultimately outside your direct control. Think of it less like an empty feeling and more like a really wise decision about where you invest your emotional energy, your focus. It's about seeing the limits of your influence and putting your energy where it actually counts.
And Epictetus himself, his life story just embodies this so powerfully. I mean, he was born into slavery. Think about that. Almost every single external part of his life, his freedom, his body, where he went, was completely outside his control. He lived the ultimate lack of external power firsthand. And yet it was through that intense adversity that he reached this incredibly profound insight. He realized that while external stuff might be dictated by others or by fate, his reactions, his internal state, his character, his judgments, those were entirely 100% his own territory. So he taught that real freedom, true liberation, isn't about changing the stuff you can't control on the outside. It's about focusing only on your own mind, your own character, and learning to let go of everything else. The aim was to build this inner calm, this tranquility, ataraxia, they called it, that wouldn't get shaken no matter what chaos was happening externally. Imagine the kind of mental strength that takes. It's absolutely amazing concept, and it leads straight into that core stoic idea he's famous for, the dichotomy of control. Epictetus basically said, look, some things are up to us and other things are definitively not up to us. Simple, but profound. So what's up to us? Our beliefs, our values, our intentions, the effort we put in, our opinions, our actions, our attitudes, our moral compass, these are things we can actually choose, govern, shape. They're our true domain, our responsibility.
Okay, and then the not up to us category, that list is Pretty long, right?
Yeah.
And this is where it gets super relevant for today, for Instagram and everything. It includes other people's actions, definitely their opinions of you, their emotions, also luck, wealth, fame, fortune, the weather, getting sick, accidents, and critically, external approval, feedback, or let's just call it what it is. Instagram likes, follower counts, anything that hinges on things outside you, on chance or on what other people decide to do or think, that's in the second bucket. It's such a clear split, and it instantly shows you where your real power lies. And this is exactly where Epictetus, speaking, thousands of years ago, just uncannily nails the trap of platforms like Instagram. He literally said, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. Just stop and think about what that means. If you, listening right now, decide to pin your happiness, your self-worth, your mood even, on those external things, the number of likes, the comments, the follower count, you are fundamentally giving away your personal power. You're basically handing the remote control for your peace of mind over to an algorithm, or a fleeting number, or honestly, the random opinions of strangers online. That is a huge surrender of your own agency.
It's almost spooky how well that maps onto today. It really is. And the flip side is if you truly deeply value what is in your control, your own integrity, your mindset, the genuine effort you make, your character, then you become incredibly resilient.
Empowered. Exactly. Epictetus went so far as to say that real, lasting happiness doesn't come from chasing or getting external things. It comes from actively letting go of the worry about things you can't control anyway.
It's not about ignoring stuff that happens. It's about owning your response to it, being the master of your internal world instead of being jerked around by every notification or perceived snub.
It's incredibly freeing when you grasp it. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and another major Stoic figure, he famously wrote in his private journal, his meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength."
Yeah.
This core idea that our upset isn't caused by what happens, but by how we interpret what happens, it's revolutionary. It feels so modern, like something discovered last week, but these guys nailed it 2,000 years ago. They understood the emotional sting comes from us, from our judgments, not from the external thing itself.
And modern psychology has totally backed this up, hasn't it? It's built therapies around it. The Stoics were basically doing early cognitive therapy. It's not the event, that Instagram post with hardly any likes or that mean comment. It's our opinion of it, our story about it, that makes us feel bad.
That's the heart of Stoic detachment. It's like this mental superpower. It lets you step back, create a bit of breathing room, and stop letting every little external thing yank your emotional chains.
So you can still care deeply. You can still work hard on things you can control, like being honest, putting in the effort, being a decent person. But you absolutely, fiercely refuse to let your inner peace depend on what you can't control. Fame, fortune, or, that endless stream of online feedback.
That is such a critical distinction, and Epictetus was crystal clear on it. He advised, flat out, never depend on the admiration of others. There is no strength in it. Who cares what other people think about you?
I mean, wow, in a world where we're constantly told likes equal worth, where online validation feels like the ultimate prize, that ancient advice feels incredibly radical, doesn't it? And so necessary.
Totally. Detachment, in the Stoic way, means finding that inner anchor. Building a core sense of self that doesn't wobble based on external stuff. It stops you from being tossed around by, the fickle winds of public opinion or whatever the latest social media drama is. It's about building a self-sufficiency of spirit.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's turn and face the beast, right? Instagram. And that really sophisticated attachment trap it sets. When you're scrolling your feed, you're not just seeing random pictures. You are constantly bombarded with these carefully, meticulously curated highlight reels of everyone else's lives. It looks amazing, fun, inspiring sometimes. But the reality, the messy, full, complex reality, is usually very different from that polished image. And these platforms aren't like this by accident. They're incredibly smart. They use deep psychology. They are quite literally engineered very precisely to capture our attention, to keep us scrolling, keep us engaged, often to the point where it really does feel like you're trapped.
And the toll this takes on mental health is it's undeniable. Study after study keeps confirming it. Spending too much time on Instagram can seriously fuel anxiety, depression, loneliness. And that horrible feeling we now call FOMO, the fear of missing out, it's a real thing for millions of people.
Yeah, there was that big survey in the UK by the Royal Society for Public Health. They actually rank Instagram as the worst social network for young people's mental health.
Right.
Directly linking it to higher anxiety, depression, and especially poor body image.
It's so ironic, isn't it? The app promises connection, inspiration, but for so many, it ends up being this breeding ground for negative comparison and feeling inadequate.
And that brings us right to the core of the attachment mechanism. Think about it. Every single time you post something and then you find yourself anxiously checking for likes, for comments, you are, whether you realize it or not, training your brain,
Yeah.
conditioning it. You're basically carving out this strong neural pathway that says external feedback equals reward.
It's a little dopamine hit.
It's exactly. Psychologists and neuroscientists have shown this clearly. The feedback you get, likes, shares, follows, positive comments, it doesn't just feel good vaguely. It literally activates your brain's reward centers by releasing dopamine. It's the same chemical process involved in addictions to things like gambling or substances. It's not just a metaphor. It's why social media can be genuinely biologically addictive.
Wow. So when the likes roll in, you get that quick rush, that temporary high. But when they don't, or a post just kind of flops, it can leave you feeling flat, deflated, or worse, actually doubting yourself, your worth. And over time, for a lot of people, this means their self-esteem starts depending on this fragile online popularity score, a score that's constantly changing and totally outside their control.
Which is precisely the kind of dangerous attachment to externals the Stoics warned us about so strongly. Epictetus, looking at this today, would absolutely say, you've just handed the keys to your own peace of mind over to the crowd, to the algorithm, to strangers. He'd remind us, probably quite bluntly, that personal merit cannot be derived from an external source. It just can't. Your value is inherent. It's not granted by likes. And it's not just the dopamine loop. Instagram also fuels constant social comparison relentlessly. What you see isn't real life in all its complexity. It's the highlight reel, remember. Often filtered, always curated.
Right, that compare and despair thing.
Exactly. You see all these seemingly perfect lives, perfect bodies, perfect trips, and that voice pops up. Everyone else is doing so great. They're so happy, so successful. What's wrong with me? Why isn't my life like that?
But you have to keep reminding yourself, people post their wins, their best moments. They don't usually broadcast the struggles, the boring days, the failures, the self-doubt.
It is, by its very design, an edited reality, a performance, an illusion in many ways.
And seeing that stuff constantly, these often unrealistic images, can make anyone feel inadequate, right? Even if you know better intellectually. This upward comparison, as the psychologists call it, it directly feeds envy, dissatisfaction, and it can really chip away at genuine self-esteem, especially for younger people who might actually believe their normal, unedited life just doesn't stack up against this shiny digital version.
It's this insidious trap. The more you scroll, the more you subconsciously crave what others seem to have, or the more you feel bad about what you think you're lacking. It creates this toxic, self-feeding cycle of attachment to illusions that ultimately leaves you feeling anxious, empty, and just not good enough. So looking at it through a Stoic lens, Instagram's whole dynamic is, deeply problematic, maybe even toxic, precisely because it makes us fixate on things that are fundamentally totally outside our control, other people's opinions, their curated lives, how we supposedly measure up against them.
And Stoicism is crystal clear. Pinning your happiness or your worth on those kinds of externals is just a recipe for suffering.
Absolutely. If you let every notification, every like, or the painful lack of likes dictate your mood, your emotional state, you basically become a slave to external validation, constantly chasing a high that's unstable and never really lasts.
Slaves. That's a really strong word, but yeah, it kind of fits, doesn't it? Why would any of us choose to give an app or random strangers the power to make us feel bad about ourselves?
Epictetus would look at this whole thing and ask, if someone's glamorous vacation photo or some anonymous nasty comment can actually ruin your day, haven't you quite literally just handed your mind over to them?
He had that great line, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation.
It's such a profound thought, because getting emotionally derailed by someone's Instagram post is fundamentally optional.
The real hurt, the suffering, it doesn't come from the post itself. It comes from how we interpret it, how much emotional energy we invest in it.
That's where our actual power is.
Sure.
In that interpretation. Okay, so given everything we've just laid out, this idea of detachment starts sounding,
Yeah.
well, not just nice, but maybe essential, right? In this age of just constant connection, endless comparison, information overload, the ability to consciously step back, to not be totally ruled by the digital chaos, that feels like a genuine superpower.
Definitely.
And let's be super clear right up front. Stoic detachment isn't about quitting Instagram cold turkey or deleting every app you have, though, taking a deliberate break now and then can be incredibly helpful for sure.
Right. It's not about becoming a hermit.
Exactly. It's fundamentally about building this strong mindset where you are in control. You control your attention, your focus, your emotional responses, rather than being passively yanked around by algorithms or what other people think.
Mm.
And when you practice this consistently, it leads to that thing the Stoics valued most, real, deep inner freedom.
I like thinking of it as a kind of mental shield, that stoic detachment. With that shield up, you can still browse social media, you can engage, you can post your own stuff, but you do it without taking every little thing personally, and crucially, without that desperate need for constant approval from outside.
Yeah, you can actually enjoy seeing other people's posts, celebrate their wins, appreciate what they share, without it immediately triggering that self-comparison spiral.
And then, when you inevitably run into online negativity, criticism, trolls, even just being unfollowed, you have this amazing power to just pause, create that little space, and consciously choose, okay, this only affects me if I let it, if I choose to internalize it.
Because that core Stoic mantra is so powerful. It's not things that upset us, but our opinions about them. And that insight isn't just wise, it's incredibly effective.
Right.
Modern cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is built on it. Realizing that puts you back in the driver's seat of your own mind. It gives you the steering wheel again. So instead of that automatic reaction, ugh, that comment made me angry, you gain the ability to see, okay, I felt anger because I interpreted that comment as an attack, or because I chose to give it weight.
That tiny shift in wording is actually a huge shift in power, isn't it?
Massive. It's you reclaiming control over your own emotional state instead of just being bounced around by external things.
And the cool thing is, this isn't just philosophical talk. There's actual science backing this up now. Detachment genuinely builds emotional resilience, like working out a muscle.
Yeah, research consistently shows that adopting these Stoic-like attitudes and practices significantly improves mental well-being, measurably. There was one study, I think at the University of Exeter, where people did Stoic exercises for just 1 week, and they reported a noticeable jump in positive emotions and life satisfaction and a drop in negative emotions.
In just a week. That's pretty amazing.
It is. And another trial found that even short Stoic training significantly reduced rumination. You know, that obsessive replaying of negative thoughts by about 18%.
Wow. And rumination is a big risk factor for depression, right?
Huge. So Stoic detachment, by teaching you to notice, challenge, and let go of those unhelpful thoughts, helps break that cycle. Plus, self-efficacy, that belief in your own ability to handle challenges, got a 15% boost in another study after just a week of Stoic practices. The data really shows it has a tangible positive effect.
So basically, practicing detachment makes you mentally stronger, more resilient. It really is like building a mental muscle. The more you practice, the less likely those online slights or setbacks are to actually knock you down.
Exactly. And from a modern psych perspective, what the Stoics call detachment lines up perfectly with really healthy concepts we talk about all the time. Things like setting good boundaries, practicing mindfulness, developing an internal locus of control.
Right, putting yourself back in charge of your own life.
Precisely. Instead of always looking out there for happiness in jobs, stuff, social media stats, you learn to find it within by living in line with your own values. And this internal focus, study after study shows, is linked to less anxiety and much higher life satisfaction.
It makes sense. If your self-worth isn't constantly riding on what other people think or how many likes you get, you're just naturally more resilient to stress and disappointment.
Yeah, it's like detachment kind of immunizes you against a lot of the emotional roller coaster of social media. Really knowing deep down that you'll be okay whether the internet cheers for you or not. That is a profound superpower. It gives you this incredible inner peace in what can feel like a really noisy, demanding world.
It really is fascinating how perfectly this ancient wisdom aligns with modern psychology. Like you said, the Stoics were kind of the original cognitive therapists.
Totally. Epictetus, way back when, teaching, people are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them.
Oh.
Fast forward nearly 2,000 years, and the founders of CBT, people like Albert Ellis and Aaron Beck, they directly credited Stoic ideas. They saw that our thoughts are what fundamentally shape our emotions and behavior. It was a direct line. Albert Ellis, who developed REBT, a form of CBT, used to quote Epictetus all the time with his patients to show them that if they deliberately chose to interpret an event more rationally, more calmly, they could literally change how they felt about it.
That's cognitive reframing, right?
Exactly, a cornerstone of modern therapy. So if an Instagram post triggers that less than feeling, instead of just accepting it, you can actively reframe it. You can realize, okay, their success doesn't take away from my unique past, or A lack of likes doesn't actually mean I'm unlikable or unworthy.
Hmm.
When you consciously change that internal story, you change the feeling, the response, everything. It's active mental self-management.
And there's even research specifically looking at applied stoicism now, isn't there?
Yes, quite a bit emerging. There was a study at Birkbeck University of London that found even a short course in Stoic exercises significantly cut anxiety and depression symptoms. People did things like daily Stoic journaling, consciously focusing only on what was up to them, and they saw real drops in negative thinking patterns.
So in our context, instead of obsessing over why someone didn't comment on your post, you'd consciously shift your focus to something constructive you can control, like working on a project or connecting with someone in real life.
Exactly. Redirecting that mental energy productively. The Stoics also, amazingly, anticipated ideas we now see in mindfulness meditation. That practice of just observing your thoughts and feelings as they come up, without judgment, and gently detaching from the negative ones.
So when you're scrolling, you notice, there's that comparison thought again, or feeling a bit of envy here. Instead of getting swept away, you just acknowledge it and let it pass.
Precisely. Observe the impression, acknowledge it, but don't automatically buy into it or let it dictate your mood. It's about creating that vital pause between the trigger and your reaction.
It also sounds a lot like concepts like non-attachment from Eastern philosophies, or just the general psychological advice to let go.
Absolutely. And psychologists talk about having an internal versus external locus of control. People with an internal locus who believe they are primarily in charge of their own lives tend to be happier, more proactive, more resilient. Stoicism is basically a training program to build that robust internal locus of control by forcing you to get crystal clear on what you can influence your mind, your reactions, your character, and what you absolutely cannot. So if Instagram drama or any online noise is stressing you out, a Stoic approach just shifts your focus inward. It grounds you. It brings you back to that powerful question. Okay, I can't control them or the algorithm, but I can control my reaction and how much I choose to engage.
That mindset shift alone must be incredibly stress relieving.
It really is.
Yeah.
And psychologists constantly warn about social media creating distorted realities and unhealthy habits. It's just great to see that Stoic principles offer such a solid, time-tested antidote, like setting firm boundaries with social media, something Epictetus would have totally endorsed. He talked about guarding what images and ideas you permit into your mind.
Like guarding a fortress.
Exactly. He knew that if you just flood your mind with junk, it affects you.
But if you're mindful, if you curate, if you guard your attention, you keep that control, that mental freedom.
So yeah, both ancient wisdom and modern science point to the same thing. Learning to consciously detach from that constant pull for external validation, especially online, can massively boost your well-being, your peace, your sense of purpose.
It's about being deliberate, intentional, being your own gatekeeper.
Okay, so knowing the theory, understanding the philosophy and the psychology, that's one thing. But actually living it, making it part of your daily routine, that's the real challenge.
Right. How do we actually do this?
Exactly. So let's dive into some really practical, tactical strategies, tools you can start using, like today.
Okay, let's get practical. Tool number one, and this feels like the bedrock of it all. Constantly, consciously remember the dichotomy of control. Anytime you feel that anxiety, that irritation, that less than feeling bubble up because of something online, just pause, breathe, and ask that simple question. Is this actually within my control?
Yeah, like you absolutely cannot control the number of likes on your photo or what comments people leave. Those are external results.
But you can control what you choose to post, the effort you put into it, how you respond to comments, or if you even respond at all. And most importantly, how you think about it, how you frame it in your own head.
Epictetus told us, focus only on your own actions and attitudes. So when you post, do it because it means something to you, because it reflects your values or expresses something you want to share or just brings you joy, not because you're fishing for a specific reaction.
And if a post doesn't get much engagement, practice that internal mantra. Okay, that outcome is outside my control. I did my part. That's enough. Just repeating that consistently builds serious resilience over time.
Second strategy, and this one can be surprisingly tough, but so worth it. Set healthy boundaries with social media. This isn't just a nice idea, it's genuinely wise for your mental health. That constant stream of information just overwhelms our brains. It leads to fatigue, anxiety, feeling scattered.
So instead of checking it constantly all day long.
Try scheduling specific limited times for it, maybe 15 minutes after work or during your lunch break. And use those phone settings. Most phones let you cap your daily time on specific apps or block them after a certain hour.
It feels less like denial and more like protecting your focus.
Exactly. You're protecting your attention, your peace, your time. Epictetus warned that if you don't choose your focus, someone else will. And today, that someone else is usually an algorithm designed to keep you scrolling indefinitely.
So take back that control. Decide when and for how long. Stick to it. You'll probably be surprised how little you actually miss and how much time and peace you gain for other things. Real things. Okay, third tactic. Mindfully curate your feed. This is something you can do right now. Actually take a look at who and what you're following. Clean it up. As you scroll, genuinely ask, does this account usually make me feel good, inspired, informed? Or does it more often trigger envy, irritation, comparison, negativity?
And give yourself permission. It is absolutely okay, even necessary, to unfollow or mute accounts that consistently bring you down or trigger those unhelpful feelings.
It's not rude, it's self-care.
Totally. A Stoic would say you need to be a guardian of your mind. What you feed, it matters. Seneca compared consuming bad content to eating junk food for the mind. May be tempting, but ultimately leaves you feeling worse.
So be intentional. Follow people who genuinely inspire you, teach you something valuable, or connect with you authentically. And just let the rest go. Curating your digital diet is a powerful act of modern Stoicism.
Fourth, try a classic Stoic exercise. Negative visualization. Now, this isn't about being gloomy. It's about deliberately imagining life without things you might be attached to, especially things like online validation. The goal isn't to be morbid, but to boost appreciation and reduce anxiety about loss.
How would that work with Instagram, for example?
Okay, so if you feel that intense need for likes after posting, consciously imagine for a minute, what if Instagram just disappeared tomorrow? Or what if no one could like posts anymore? Then ask, would life actually go on?
Yeah, almost certainly. You'd still have your real friends, your work, hobbies, health, the real stuff.
Exactly. By briefly visualizing the absence of these external, often fleeting things, the Stoics found it loosened anxiety's grip. It fosters immense gratitude for what you do have right now.
Yeah.
It kind of inoculates you against disappointment.
Maybe try a practical experiment, like a digital detox day.
Great idea. Voluntarily disconnect for a day or even just an afternoon and just notice how you feel. Often that FOMO, that fear of missing out, you realize it was mostly in your head. And maybe you even experienced JOMO, the joy of missing out. You might just feel lighter.
Okay, fifth tactic, building on that. Journaling and reflection. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, he journaled daily, right? That was core to his Stoic practice.
Absolutely. And you can do something similar, focus specifically on your online experiences. After you spend time on social media, take just 5 minutes. Grab a notebook or open a doc and reflect. Ask yourself, how did that session leave me feeling? Did I compare myself? Why? What triggered it? Are these reactions aligned with my values?
Writing it down helps you see patterns you might miss otherwise.
Definitely. It lets you spot and then challenge those irrational beliefs that sneak in. Like, I'm boring because I didn't get many likes. Or, their life is so much better than mine. Once you see it written down, you can question it logically, compassionately. Like a mini therapy session with yourself.
And replace it with something healthier, like likes don't define my worth.
Precisely. Regular reflection trains you to become an observer of your mind, not just a puppet pulled by external strings. Over time, you really can learn to scroll, appreciate things, be happy for others, but remain fundamentally okay with yourself. That's the goal. And finally, number 6, focus on purpose over popularity. This is all about intention. Before you even open the app or before you post, just ask yourself, why am I doing this right now? Is it genuinely to connect with friends, share something I'm passionate about, learn something new?
Get clear on your why.
Exactly. And let that true intention guide how you use it. If your goal is connecting with old friends, do that. Don't get sucked into hours of aimless scrolling or comparing yourself to strangers. Stick to the positive uses that align with your real goals. Avoid the rabbit holes.
Stoicism emphasizes intentional living, right? Living by principles.
Hugely. So if family connection is a core principle for you, maybe your time is better spent actually calling your sister or having coffee with a friend in person rather than just liking photos. Reconnecting with your deeper purpose naturally detaches you from the superficial chase for online status, like Epictetus would say. Figure out what truly matters to you, align with your values, and then let the rest go. The noise, the comparison, the fluff.
Wow. Okay. Those are really concrete things people can try. And it sounds like it's about building that detachment muscle over time.
Exactly. It's a practice, a journey, not a quick fix.
Be patient with yourself. Be consistent.
And celebrate those small wins. Noticing you felt less anxious after limiting screen time or catching yourself mid-comparison and gently redirecting. Those are huge victories. Those are moments of you actively reclaiming your mental freedom. Now, a really important point here. You might be listening and thinking, okay, but does detachment mean I have to basically quit Instagram, become a digital hermit, maybe even emotionally cold?
Yeah, that's a common worry, isn't it? That detachment equals indifference.
It really is. But that completely misses the nuance of what the Stoics were talking about.
Yeah.
The goal is personal balance, finding your right relationship with these things. It's not about total disconnection. Unless, of course, that's a conscious choice that genuinely serves you best. Some people do find that helpful.
But Stoicism itself encourages engaging with the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look at Marcus Aurelius, deeply detached internally, but he ran an entire empire. He engaged, he cared, he made decisions. You can absolutely enjoy social media, the internet, connect with people online. You just learn not to let it define you or control your inner state.
So detachment means not gripping so tightly.
Exactly. You can post, share, comment, have fun online, but you do it with a lighter touch, an open hand, a light hold.
Mm-hmm.
If a post doesn't get the reaction you hoped for or a comment thread gets heated,
Mm-hmm.
you can internally shrug and just move on.
Or if someone disagrees with you online
Well-
or unfollows you, it doesn't send you into a tailspin.
Right. Because your core confidence, your sense of self, it's anchored somewhere else, somewhere more stable, rooted in your values and actions. A helpful way to think about it might be as a participant observer.
Okay, what does that mean?
You participate fully, you engage authentically online. But at the same time, you maintain this little bit of objective distance. You're observing yourself, observing the platform, observing your reactions. So when you feel that little pull, that craving for validation, or you notice yourself starting to compare, you pause. Maybe you even just smile inwardly at that very human tendency without judging yourself for it.
And then with that awareness, you can choose differently.
Exactly. You can choose to log off and do something genuinely nourishing instead.
Yeah.
Read a chapter, call a friend, go for a walk. Detachment gives you that crucial pause, that perspective. It allows for a mindful choice instead of just an automatic reaction.
And that probably helps real-life relationships too, if you're coming from a place of inner security, not neediness.
Hugely. You respond more calmly, more thoughtfully, less reactively online and offline. You might even become that grounded friend who brings perspective when everyone else is caught up in digital drama. That really is a modern Stoic superpower right there.
And it's important to remember this isn't like flicking a switch, right? It's not all or nothing.
Not at all. It's a gradual journey.
Yeah.
We all have moments where we feel grounded and moments where we get hooked or feel swayed. The whole point is just to gradually, intentionally increase your inner freedom, step by step, day by day.
There's that saying, sometimes attributed to Buddha, hold the world like a little bird. Not so tight you crush it, but not so loose it flies away.
That's a perfect analogy. The Stoics would absolutely agree. Love your life, enjoy your friends, your hobbies, the funny cat videos online, enjoy it all. But practice holding it all just a little more lightly, a little more loosely.
So that when the inevitable bumps come, changes, disappointments, criticism, unflattering comparisons,
And they will come. You can face them with grace, with calm, with an inner steadiness that doesn't get easily shaken. Hashtag outro cap. Okay, so let's wrap up this deep dive on Epictetus versus Instagram. Let's pull together the key takeaways for you. First, we hit that critical difference between external validation versus inner stability. Instagram is basically built to fuel that chase for external validation, likes, comments, comparison. Stoicism, through Epictetus, teaches us that tying our peace and worth to those fleeting externals is a recipe for losing control. True detachment is about actively reclaiming that inner stability so your mood isn't dictated by an app.
Second, we really hammered home that core Stoic insight, which modern psychology totally backs up. It's not the posts, it's your thoughts. Remember, it's not the perfect photo or the critical comment that makes you feel bad. It's your belief about it, your interpretation. By consciously changing how you frame things online, seeing success as inspiration, not a threat. Seeing criticism as feedback, not an attack you can diffuse so much negativity. That reframing is a daily superpower.
Third, we looked at the very real mental health benefits. This isn't just theory, it has practical perks. Research shows too much social media often correlates with more anxiety, depression, FOMO. But cultivating Stoic detachment is linked to less rumination, more contentment, and greater resilience. Basically, learning to let go of what you can't control demonstrably lowers stress and boosts well-being.
Fourth, we gave you that learner's toolkit practical strategies you can use right now. Building this mental muscle takes practice. Setting clear time limits, curating your feed for positivity, using the dichotomy of control daily, trying negative visualization to boost gratitude, and journaling to understand and challenge your reactions. These habits train your mind to stay centered on what truly matters.
And finally, that overarching theme, the crucial nuance. Engage, don't enslave. Detachment isn't about quitting life or becoming cold. It's about engaging in a healthier, more balanced way. You can still enjoy connecting, sharing, learning online, but you do it on your terms. You remain the master of your own mind. It allows you to participate fully in the world, enriched by it, without being overwhelmed or defined by it.
Okay, so here's your action challenge for the week. Pick just one tactical insight we talked about. Just one. Maybe it's mindfully muting just one account that triggers that comparison feeling. Just one. Or maybe it's setting a strict 15-minute timer for your main social media app each day and actually stopping when it goes off. Pick one small thing, commit to it, and just observe. What subtle shift do you notice in your mood, your focus, your inner calm? Even a tiny act of conscious detachment can start a positive ripple.
And a final thought to leave you with. In a world that seems increasingly hooked on attachment, constantly seeking validation from the outside, maybe daring to consciously detach, even a little bit, is the most radical, most empowering thing you can do for your own peace of mind. What could you do, what could you create with all the mental and emotional energy you'd reclaim?